new existence for him. His father, a subordinate official employed in the botanical gardens of Buitenzorg, was no doubt delighted to place his son in such a firm. The young man himself, too, was nothing loath to leave the poisonous shores of Java, and the meagre comforts of the parental bungalow, where the father grumbled all day at the stupidity of native gardeners, and the mother, from the depths of her long easy-chair, bewailed the lost glories of Amsterdam, where she had been brought up, and of her position as the daughter of a cigar dealer there. Almayer had left his home with a light heart and a lighter pocket, speaking English well, and strong in arithmetic, ready to conquer the world, never doubting that he would. After those 20 years, standing in the close and stifling heat of a Bornean evening, he recalled with pleasurable regret the image of Hudig's lofty and cool warehouses, with their long and straight avenues of gin cases and bales of Manchester goods, the big door swinging noiselessly, the dim light of the place, so delightful after the glare of the streets, the little railed-off spaces amongst piles of merchandise where the Chinese clerks, neat, cool, and sad-eyed, wrote rapidly and in silence, amidst the din of the working gangs rolling casks, or shifting cases to a muttered song, ending with a desperate yell. At the upper end, facing the great door, there was a larger space railed off, well lighted. There the noise was subdued by distance, and above it rose the soft and continuous clink of silver guilders which other discreet Chinamen were counting and piling up under the supervision of Mr. Vinck, the cashier, the genius presiding in the place, the right hand of the master. In that clear space Almayer worked at his table not far from a little green-painted door, by which always stood a Malay in a red sash and turban, and whose hand, holding a small string dangling from above, moved up and down with the regularity of a machine. The string worked a punkah on the other side of the green door, where the so-called private office was, and where old Hudig, the master, sat enthroned, holding noisy receptions. Sometimes the little door would fly open, disclosing to the outer world, through the bluish haze of tobacco smoke, a long table loaded with bottles of various shapes and tall water pitchers, rattan easy-chairs occupied by noisy men in sprawling attitudes, while the master would put his head through, and, holding by the handle, would grunt confidentially to Vinck, perhaps send an order thundering down the warehouse, or spy a hesitating stranger and greet him with a friendly roar, "Welcome, Captain. Where you come from? Bally, eh? Got bonies? I want bonies. What all you got? Ha ha ha! Come in." Then the stranger was dragged in a tempest of yells, the door was shut, and the usual noises refilled the place, the song of the workmen, the rumble of barrels, the scratch of rapid pens, while above all rose the musical chink of broad silver pieces streaming ceaselessly through the yellow fingers of the attentive Chinamen. At that time Macassar was teeming with life and commerce. It was the point in the islands where tended all those bold spirits who, fitting out schooners on the Australian coast, invaded the Malay archipelago in search of money and adventure. Bold, reckless, keen in business, not disinclined for a brush with the pirates that were to be found on many a coast as yet, making money fast, they used to have a general rendezvous in the bay for purposes of trade and dissipation. The Dutch merchants called those men English peddlers. Some of them were undoubtedly gentlemen for whom that kind of life had a charm. Most were seamen. The acknowledged king of them all was Tom Lingard, he whom the Malays, honest or dishonest, quiet fishermen or desperate cutthroats, recognized as the Rajah Laut, the king of the sea. Almayer had heard of him before he had been 3 days in Macassar, had heard the stories of his smart business transactions, his loves, and also of his desperate fights with the Sulu pirates, together with the romantic tale of some child, a girl, found in a piratical prau by the victorious Lingard when, after a long contest, he boarded the craft, driving the crew overboard. This girl, it was generally known, Lingard had adopted, was having her educated in some convent in Java, and spoke of her as "my daughter." He had sworn a mighty oath to marry her to a white man before he went home, and to leave her all his money. "And Captain Lingard has lots of money," would say Mr. Vinck solemnly, with his head on one side. "Lots of money. More than Hudig." And after a pause, just to let his hearers